video just so we refresh our memory and everyone here knows who I am and what I'm about and stuff like that. But this speech here, this workshop here is specifically designed for vegans and activists. Okay, but if you want to go from being non-vegan straight into being activist, I recommend that for sure, 100%. Okay, so how many people here are already active in some way? Whoa! That's probably the most hands I've ever had. Yeah. That's nearly 100%. That's excellent. Or maybe you just understand what activism actually is, because some people have a really narrow view on what activism is. They think it's just one type, which we'll get into. So yeah, it's basically about being proactive. So first of all, as you all know, the first thing you need to know is why you're being active. Okay, because if I was doing this for any other reason, I would have given up ages ago. Okay, because the road can get tough. But if you know why you're doing it, it really reinforces your decision. You always remind yourself of that. For me, it's for the animals. Some people get into it for the plight of the environment or for health. But the way I look at it is we didn't abolish human slavery because it was bad for the environment. I mean, that would just be sort of like a bit of injustice in itself. I mean, we abolished human slavery because of the individuals that were having their rights infringed. I mean, we don't commit active sexual abuse because it's bad for our health. We could potentially catch an STD. No, that's not why we do that. We do it because of the individual that are having their rights infringed. So this is my perspective on vegan activism. We do it for the animals. They're literally enslaved. And that's what keeps me going. It's been a bit of a rough road this last couple of weeks especially, but I always reminded why I'm doing this. Reminded myself why I'm doing this. If I listen to other vegans, to other critics, to other non-vegans, to the media, then I would have given up. But the animals are not going to criticise me for what I'm doing. Okay, so just remember that. Okay, so when I first started, I had this fire inside my chest, and I couldn't explain it. It was just right here. It was glowing, and every time I went to sleep and woke up, it was more prominent. Okay, and every day I felt like I wasted another day. I've spent 12 years of my life taken from people, you know, causing suffering to my family and anxiety to people around me, and I wanted to give back, and it was calling out to me. Okay, and if anyone else has that fire inside your chest, never deny yourself the chance to spread it, because that's your purpose and it's calling out to you. Okay, now the second most important thing is when you're going to start teaching people about stuff, you better know what you're talking about. Okay, now you don't have to be Gary Yourofsky educated on this, you just need to be more educated than your average non-vegan, which isn't very hard because they've never been exposed to this information. So just a base level understanding on ethics, environment and health at the start, that's all you need. When I first started speaking out about this, I had a very loud voice, but I didn't really know as much as I know now, but I was still giving it a crack. Still gave it a crack. I did it in the best way that I thought, okay, which I'll get into. Angry activism. When I first started, I was fresh out of gangs, okay, I'd just come out of a very hectic environment, and from my level of what aggression was, I thought I was quite placid, because I just come out of a very hectic environment. So you've got to remember, like, from my perspective, I was pretty chill. But looking back now, I was swearing, my face was going red, veins popping out of my head, you know, effing seed, animal abusing, effing this, like, I'd literally forgotten that I wasn't vegan 6 months before that, okay? And I was letting my anger run the party. Now, I want to get into this a bit because, like, even now, my passion is misconstrued as aggression, okay? So I want you to all remember this. No matter how chill you are, someone's always going to say, you're shoving your views down my throat. You're way too aggressive. You could be as placid and peaceful as Gandhi and someone's going to say that exact thing to you. Okay, so you can't pander too much. Okay, never betray the animals. Always speak truthfully and with conviction. Okay, and if some people get offended, that's always going to happen. You cannot avoid it. But if you look back at some of my old videos and the media scrounged through and found some stuff that was still up, okay, you should have been there helping me. You should have found it before the media did. But I deleted I'd hidden the Facebook, the YouTube videos, sorry, but there was a couple that was still up. And it's just a reflection of how I don't advocate now. Okay, there's certain things that even though I might think are true, but there's certain ways you convey a message so that the public receive it. Okay, because I want to reach the most amount of people. Anger is fine to feel anger. Okay, it gets you off your butt to do something. Okay, it makes you active. You should be angry. If you weren't angry, I'd say that you've got, you know, some psychological issues or you don't have empathy. You should be angry when you see innocent beings being slaughtered and sexually abused and enslaved. Okay, that should draw up emotion in you. But we have to be careful that anger doesn't turn into aggression. Okay, and you know, especially when you get into the sort of into the mainstream media, I had people baiting me, leaving things around, trying to razz me up before interviews, okay? So I had to be extra careful of that and not let my anger turn into aggression. Aggression is anger in action, basically. And when you're on outreach, people are going to try as well. They're going to try to razz you up a little bit. So you just got to be super extra mindful of that. But am I going to start having a go at people for becoming aggressive in a situation like this? No. No way am I going to say to you, you're a bad activist because you let emotion run the party there. It's an emotional thing. You're standing out in front of slaughterhouses for 5 hours on end, watching animals, listening to pigs be gas chambered to death. You know, it's going to stir up some emotion. If you get a little bit aggressive here and now, I'm not going to hold it against you. But I just, you know, I ask vegans to be more mindful of it, which I am constantly being mindful of it because it's a constant thing, isn't it? We're constantly faced with this horrific treatment of animals, and you know, so we've always got to keep on top of it, especially when you get tired, a bit hungry, you know, and sometimes you can just. So just be mindful of that. I don't think it's as effective as being cool, calm, logical assassin, just boom, banging facts to them, keeping chill, Socratic method. That's what wakes people up. If they get angry, you just stay chill, ask them a question, you know, unravel their cognitive dissonance. That is so powerful, and that's what works. That is what works. If you get angry and become aggressive, and then they bring it up, and then it's kind of like you've let them win in a way. You've let them. So just be extra tactful and extra mindful. I found talking to people like they're your friend really helps. Really brings it back down. I mean, you could be getting in on it with someone, and I can say, you know, I know you're a good person. You've got a big heart, and I can see that. No matter what you say, you're a good person. And you know, I'm just like you, man. I was eating animals too. Then bang, it brings it back down. Their guards down. You're in. Okay. Just remember that. Like, talk to them on the same level like they're your friend. Okay. Not your enemy, because otherwise it's you against them, and they'll say stupid stuff and won't be intellectually honest just to win a debate. But you're trying to get through to this person. So letting their guard down. Who knows what the most effective form of activism is? I ask this at all my talks. Yes, my friend?
Being kind.
Being kind, that's one form. I'm going to say this, alright? The most effective form of activism is the form of activism that you are best at. And that's why we have diversity. Everyone's good at something. And what you're good at isn't what I'm good at. What the next person's good at isn't what the next person's good at. So we have diversity in the movement. So if someone says, oh, my form of activism is the best, you go and try to do their form of activism, it doesn't resonate with you, it's not your style, you don't have the skill set, then it's not going to be the best for you. You're probably better off doing organising. You're a chef, you're really good at cooking. Why would you go out and do a public speech if you're a chef? We need you in the restaurants creating vegan meals, which is what you're good at. We need people in the sidelines doing organising. I can't organise to save my life. Laura does all that stuff for me. And we work, it's just as powerful activism because, you know, she gets us where we go and we have a massive impact like that. So the most effective form of activism is utilising the skill sets you already possess, the talents you already possess within the animal rights movement. We need everyone doing everything they can. Don't feel inadequate if you can't do what James Aspey does, Earthling Ed does, or certain other prominent activists do. That is what they are good at. Okay, find what you're good at and hit it. Kick goals at it. Okay? Now, I'll tell you a form of activism I've found to be very, very, very effective, and I'll give you a mad example of why, is making videos. Now, who knows who Gary Yourofsky is? You should always ask who doesn't know who Gary Yourofsky is. Okay, everyone knows who Gary Yourofsky is. Okay, he's done about 2,000 speeches to around 50,000 students over the course of his career. I'm sure he knows the exact number, but it's around that. And one day, his Georgia Tech speech, someone in the crowd filmed it. It wasn't even him. Okay, he didn't believe in social media, but someone in the crowd filmed it, chucked it up on YouTube. It's gone viral. It's gone viral on YouTube, which is it's hard to get a viral video on YouTube. It really is to get millions of views on YouTube. Across Facebook, segments of the speech have gone viral across Facebook. Still to this day, little segments of that speech have gone viral across Facebook. Now, if that video wasn't filmed and chucked up on social media, no one would really even know who Gary Yourofsky is. It would have fallen on the ears of the students in those classrooms, and they fall back into their conditioning, and bang, who's Gary Yourofsky? He was just some lecturer that come in. Now he's famous worldwide. He's probably got somewhere between 100,000 to 1 million conversions, you know, conservative estimates. He's reached so many people, inspired a whole movement of people through his videos, basically. Through his videos. So making videos is a very powerful form of activism. You might think, oh, Joey, only got 100 views on my video. It's like, you go out and talk to 100 individuals, and you tell me how you feel after it. You're going to be burnt out by the end of the month. You can make one video where you reach 100 people. You can inspire one of those 100 people to be a mad activist, you know? So you're reaching 100 people, you go and do a speech to 100 people and tell me how nervous you are. You'll be nervous. You'll be fumbling your words. At least for the first few times, unless you're super confident. But with a video, you can sit in your room, you can make this video, do a response video, something, you can reach, bang, 100 people, 100 views, excellent. If we have each and every one of these individuals in this room reaching 100 people, what have we reached? 5,000 people, you know what I mean? So don't be too caught up on views at the start. Also, another big tip is, people go, oh, you know, I'll start making videos, Joey, but I don't have the most excellent Sony camera, 5,000, I've got to wait till I get the best equipment, basically. When I first started, I had a little iPhone 5, I used to keep it on the front of my belt here, and it had a tiny little microphone. I used to go and do street interviews like this, okay, and people would say, why are you looking at the camera? Is that some type of technique? No, I was trying to keep us in frame because I was filming it. So I'm going like this. Okay? So that's all the equipment I had. And people, I've become pretty well known for my street interviews and inspired a wave of vegan street interviews on the internet. Think about this, a YouTuber was the one who first inspired me to do it. But what I'm trying to say is just a good little quote. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Okay? We need you now. Okay? Not when you've got the best camera. Now. Also, there's a difference between Facebook vids and YouTube videos. YouTube videos can be longer. Actually, they're more likely to come up in the search bar if they are a little bit longer. About 20 minutes is great. Over 10 minutes is good. Facebook videos, you're better off making them shorter. Shorter, subtitles, catchy thumbnail. Copy some of the other big Facebook pages, how they've got the subtitles are really good because deaf people can watch them. People that aren't really good with English can follow it easier, and also some people don't want to like wake their husband up while they're watching vegan videos in their beds. So without social media, there is no movement. Okay, you've got a few people handing out pamphlets here and there, which is amazing, and that is activism. But now we've got the social media revolution. It's boom, exploding everywhere, and no one can deny that. I mean, without social media, we don't have the power of information at our fingertips now. You can share one video, reach a million people, like just anyone here can share a video, can reach a million people. I made a video, 5.5 million views on Facebook, reached 12 million people. Okay, 12 million people. Crazy what we can do with social media nowadays. It's amazing, and I'm sure all the long-term vegans would agree now we've got internet and social media. It's just picked up massively. So utilize it. Social media activism is activism. Okay, it is. That's where it's all happening. Okay, I want to talk to you about two forms of activism that I find really effective, and that doesn't mean that you have to do them, or these are the only forms of activism. These are just ones that I've really got involved with. The first one is Anonymous for the Voiceless. Who doesn't know who Anonymous is? We all know, that's good, so I don't have to explain.
Who doesn't know who Anonymous is?
Yeah. Who doesn't know who the anonymous person is now? Outreach tips. First and foremost, and I don't always, just letting you know I'm not perfect either. Okay, sometimes I become unconscious when I'm doing outreach, and just like everyone else, but I'll give you some tips, okay, that help when I'm really aware of what I'm doing. First is building rapport. Okay, and this is a basic sales technique. It's like understanding who you're talking to. So someone walks up to you, okay, older generation, younger generation, do they have children? Are they softly spoken, aggressive? Are they more upbeat? Are they big bodybuilder guys? So you work out who you're talking to and how they're speaking as well. Some of their body language, you know, copy, mimic, mirror. If they're swearing here and there, if that's not you, don't do it. But sometimes if they're swearing and you chuck in a few swear words, wow, he's like me. You know, if you've got a group of 15-year-old, you know, younger dudes there, one's got a cigarette butt in his hand and they're pretty cool, you don't walk up to them and start talking down to them like you're their teacher. You're not building any rapport. You go, hey, go on, man, get down on their level. Have you seen that's pretty messed up, hey, bro? And they're like, yeah. And I go, oh, you know, I've done jail. Like, I don't think it's cool or tough to hurt animals. Oh, wow, you've done jail. You're my friend, yeah. So you basically, you know, obviously, you act accordingly. Okay, so if it's an elderly lady, you know, you talk to her accordingly with respect. The thing is, I don't always do this. You might go, oh, Joey, you didn't do it that time, did you? I'm only human, but you know, try your best. But you probably do this anyway. Like when you're at the supermarket talking to someone, you know, you probably already do it, but be extra mindful of it when you're on outreach, especially. Another top tip is always have info and resources on you. Okay, now this is not just for when you're doing Anonymous for the Voiceless outreach. Have cards on you all the time. Because you can get in, how often are you getting in conversations just at the supermarket with the store clerk, and you can just whip out a card and go, instead of telling them watch What the Health, watch Cowspiracy, and watch Land of Hope and Glory, you've got it on a card, and on the back, I always have a resource where they can get sort of coached to be vegan. So you might have your own little Facebook group that coaches people throughout their first start of the vegan journey. I use Challenge 22. Challenge 22 gets inundated with sign-ups, so sometimes it's not the best one to use. Sometimes Veganuary would be good. There's an Australian one called Vegan Easy. So choose one and use it, but always have cards on you. It's about £50 to get 1,000 printed out. You know, keep them simple and concise. The reason you keep them concise is because sometimes with pamphlets, which are awesome pamphlets, but they've got a little bit too much information on them, and people that aren't interested in them are just going to go too much, you know, I can't read it for them. But if you can get someone to watch one link, one Land of Hope and Glory, that's it, on a card. You get them to watch that, it says more in that film than any pamphlet will ever say. So if you've got them to watch that, you're on a winner. So just think of that. You want to not inundate them with 20,000 links and all this information, just bang, get them to watch a really significant film. Maybe Gary's speech even. If someone watches that, the probability of them going vegan is like so high because everything's in there. So they're either going to go vegan or they're not. And if they watch that speech, you know, you know pretty soon. So keep it concise and always have them on you. I keep them in my pocket. Laura keeps them in her handbag. We hand them out to everyone. Also, we'll talk about the power of showing slaughterhouse footage. Obviously, that's what you do Anonymous for the Voiceless. You have a cube, you show slaughterhouse footage. It's probably the most powerful thing you can do. Really, like, because people make up this story in their mind about what happens in a slaughterhouse, and I don't know where this narrative comes from. I think it comes from industry, advertisement, green pastures. But they go, oh, it's humane, you know, they've been told this story, they've never even seen what happens in a slaughterhouse. So you show them what happens in a slaughterhouse, bang, you know, like they'll never forget it. No matter what they'll think about, you know, animals, it'll affect them profoundly. So it's very powerful. There is a small discrepancy with it though, and this is up to the outreacher, okay? So when you show someone animal cruelty footage, okay, it can get them into the welfarist mindset. So they go, oh yeah, no, yeah, that's pretty bad what's happening on the screen there, but luckily I get my free range organic milk from my farmer with the backyard eggs. That sort of mentality. Now, you don't want them to leave with that welfarist sort of ideology in their mind, so it's up to you to say, to take it away from animal cruelty and towards animal use. Okay, so you've got to be very careful when showing cruelty footage to people that they don't leave with this idea that it could be done better, or that, you know, somehow animals can be used in a humane way, because there's no such thing as humane slavery, there's no such thing as humane murder, just doesn't exist, and don't let them leave with that in their mind. So that's up to the outreacher, but otherwise showing slaughterhouse footage is very powerful. Always remain polite and respectful. Now, I used to say always remain calm, but I've taken that off because some situations don't call for you to remain calm. Always remain polite and respectful, but sometimes the conversation is brought up a level, and you need to match it. Okay? Obviously, don't let it fall out into aggression, into this big argument. Be mindful of that. But if it's you know, bring it up with it. You know, match it. So you don't have to always remain calm. Some situations remain, you know, you want to bring it up a notch, but always remain respectful. Okay? So don't call names. Don't swear unless it's about the situation. Oh yeah, it's effed up, or if they're swearing too, you know, you might want to, you know, but don't swear at them. Don't call names and stuff like that. Keep it respectful, and you know, should be on a winner there. You don't have to respect their actions. Now, I'd never tell anyone here to respect someone's choice to commit harm to our animal friends. I would never ask you to do that. But you should show them respect, because there was a time when you didn't know, and when you hadn't made the connection yet, and that wasn't too long ago for me, and you too. So you're just going to keep that in mind, okay? Don't respect their choice to do that to animals, but show them respect. And every time I've said that to someone on the street, they've accepted it and been like, oh, okay, no, I respect that. Well, I'll say, look, I don't respect your choice to do that, but you know, I'm going to show you the respect. And that's a very good way to, you know, build a good communication with them. Everyone you talk to is unique. One day I did this cow vigil in Devon. Now this farmer didn't want to stop his tractor. Anyone see that video where he's in a blue tractor, he didn't want to stop? Yeah. Okay, so he kept driving through us and he goes, oh, I'll come back. And when he came back, he dropped his cow off. He came back and he goes, you guys are making this harder for me than it already is. Okay, so he's one of these farmers that, you know, loves and cares for his animals. They do exist, they're just holding two opposing beliefs. So I love and care for my animals, but they have to go to the slaughterhouse. That's the only way, this is the way it is. But it hurt him a bit. And I was really pulling it out in his emotion, and I was like, you know, you don't have to do this. there's another way. This isn't the only way for you to make a living. You don't have to kill your animals. And I was getting somewhere with him, and then all of a sudden over my shoulder someone started talking about statistics and rainfall and how many crops it takes to feed a cow. All of this stuff, and it brought it out of his heart and into his logic. And that's not where you want to hit it. Like if you see someone having an empathic response to the slaughterhouse, keep it there, keep it in their heart, because that's where you want it really. And that's what creates an altruistic world, people thinking of someone other than themselves basically. So keep it in their heart. I mean, there's some people that they don't want to go there. Like you can really sense it. No, they don't want to go into any form of emotion. They want to have a logical debate with you. And that's fine too, because you can win a debate on veganism on pure logic alone. You don't need to bring it into emotion. You don't need to bring any emotion into it at all, because it's an inconsistent and illogical position, carnism. There's contradictions all over the place, and they're so easy to point out once you see them. So you can go pure logic alone, but I always try to bring it to their heart, no matter how hard they think they are or whatever. There's always an animal that they care about somewhere in their life. Okay, and you can bring them and draw parallels and things like that. So if you've got an AB, I think you've got an AB and an Earthlings experience here. Get involved, you're probably already involved, but get more involved, and the more people we've got out there, the bigger message it sends. And it's really fulfilling. Okay, you probably, speaking to family and friends that don't want to hear it, that don't listen, and you feel like you're isolated sometimes. You go out and do AB, people stop because they're interested. Okay, and you can have a really fulfilling conversation with people, and you need fulfillment in your activism, otherwise it can get a bit hard. You want a result, okay? And when you have this really good, fulfilling conversation with someone on the street, they take a card, they sign up to Challenge 22, bang, fulfillment. So that's what you want to do. I want to talk about Socratic method. You're probably all aware of Socratic method by now if you're an activist. It's basically the art of asking questions. Teaching someone by asking questions. I didn't even know who Socrates was when I first started doing it. Someone left a comment and said, oh, Socratic method in action. I was like, what? And I went and Googled it and I was like, oh yeah, it is. So Socrates, basically a Greek philosopher, taught by asking questions. Always ask leading questions. I like to draw parallels to morals that they already adhere to, like you're probably against slavery, you're probably against sexual abuse, things like that. Yeah, I'm okay. Do you know the dairy industry does this? Do you know that animals aren't free? A clever line of questioning. But whenever they answer you, try this next time you're on outreach. It's a pretty cool game to try it. Answer all of their responses with a question. Oh no, it's okay, where I do it, that's welfare, high welfare standards. Oh, is there a humane way to kill someone who doesn't want to die? Oh, yeah, no, there is. Okay, is there a humane way to kill your dog if they don't want to die? So you just keep asking them questions. Yeah, I would go vegan, but I need to eat animals for protein. Oh, there's no protein in plants. So everything they're saying, you're sort of questioning them through it, and it's pretty cool, man. Like you can watch someone's conditioning unravel before your eyes. And then you get them to this point where they're like, ding, like they just stop and they're pausing, they're in the corner. And that's veganism is in that corner. And they're like, oh, no, I'm here. And then you give them a card. Oh, what did I do? You give them a card and you say, it's really nice talking to you. On the back, Challenge 22, some information on the front. Thank you very much. And you move on to the next person. But nothing is more powerful than doing this through Socratic method. All the great activists do it, all the great teachers do it. If you look through, even if you watch Gary Yourofsky's speech, he does it while he's doing his speech. He asks a real profound, powerful question, waits a moment, lets everyone answer it in their mind, and then he answers it. Bang. It's really powerful. Couldn't recommend it enough. It diffuses arguments. The most hardened person. It's the least intrusive way of educating someone, basically. Because if you get someone in a corner, pumping information down their throat, it takes 1 second for them to switch off. Okay, and you probably had this experience too when you've got someone who knows heaps about a certain topic that you're not that interested in. They've got you there and they're pumping it into you and you just bang, you switched off and their mouth is moving but you're not even there. Okay, and that can happen in a second on vegan outreach too. But if you ask them a question, bang, they say, oh shit, they just asked me something. Their cogs turn, okay, and then they respond. Okay, so you get them thinking. You want people to think for themselves. They've always had media or advertising or the school system, their parents doing the thinking for them. You want to turn something on in their brain and get them thinking for themselves, critical thinking. And then when they walk off, they're still asking themselves these questions. Wow. So the job is done. You planted the seeds, you've asked them the questions, they go off and then they start working things out. They start seeing through the lies. Also, something that I could have done this week, I've had an interview on Jeremy Vine, I haven't uploaded it yet, but he worked me up a little bit, and I was very intense in it. And upon reflection, I listened back to it, and I felt like I was probably a bit too aggressive in that interview. I did notice it, even from my standards, it was a bit too aggressive. And what to do when someone says something hurtful or like leaves a ham sandwich on the table to trivia is you respond. Okay, you don't react. Now, when you react, you're letting emotion run the party, and it's a knee-jerk reaction. It's an unconscious sort of thing, and you're not really making a conscious, aware effort at all. It's just bang, you've just reacted to your emotion. But if you wait a sec, and if you're aware of your emotion in that moment, you can let it pass and go, okay, I'm going to respond. And when you respond with a question. Okay, and this is the best way to deal with that emotion when it comes up. Okay, you've got the truth on your side. You don't need to get angry. The truth is so powerful, and we have it. We have it. This is our weapon. They can't talk themselves out of it. They'll definitely try. They'll definitely try, but there's basically no way of refuting veganism unless they admit that they'd like the same treatment themselves. Okay, people aren't going to admit that. Otherwise, unless they admit they're a hypocrite, which I did at the start. I'm a hypocrite, and that was the realization I come to. And then it took me a while to align, basically, and become consistent. But another form of activism that is probably the most powerful form of activism I've ever done. I don't know if anyone else agrees, but it's bearing witness. Anyone not know what the SAVE movement is here? Okay, bearing witness, the single most powerful form of activism I've ever done. I used to speak for animals before I'd met them properly, like, you know, seeing their struggles, seeing their suffering. And I spoke for them because I knew it was wrong, okay? But after bearing witness, I spoke on a different level, with more conviction. I'd been there with them. Okay? I'd seen them on the trucks, the sow mothers that had been exploited their whole lives, had their piglets taken off them. The sadness in their eyes was just heightened because of the amount of time they'd been suffering. They're in their own feces, limping around, chickens with broken legs, they can't support their own weight, broken wings that is thrown into crates, covered in their own urine, and dying on the way to slaughterhouses. And when you witness all these things, it does something. It gives you perspective. Because in that moment, you realise something. That it's not about you. Okay? It's about them. Yeah. And all those emotions that you had, oh, I'm a bit anxious, Joey, I don't want to go and bear witness, I'll get anxiety, and I'm not confident now. In that moment of bearing witness, you realise that it's not about you. And it's the most powerful realisation you can have. Because all of these things we go through as activists, all of these things I've gone through this week, it's nothing compared to what they go through every single day of their existence. And the only thing they have to look forward to is a gas chamber, or those drunk slaughterhouse workers who are on drugs slashing their throats every day, tormenting them. So it's a horrific existence. It's a hellhole in slaughterhouses. We're at the front of one the other day. Half of them were drunk. The manager was drunk. Imagine being a poor sheep going into a hellhole like that where they're slashing animals' throats and the manager is drunk. And this is their last moments. They're innocent beings who have done nothing wrong to anyone. Horrible, horrible existence. This might be the only compassion these animals will see before they're slaughtered, okay, that they've seen in their whole entire life. And it's on the way, it's basically vegans at the front of the slaughterhouse. So very powerful. Also builds solidarity. It does something to the community. When you're all there, you're together, and you go, wow, okay, this is what we're fighting for together. Okay, and it's okay to experience emotion, normal human emotion while you're there. I cry at slaughterhouses. I cried when I couldn't rescue a bobby calf. I mean, we should express emotion. You know, we should be sad. We should be sad. We should be angry. Okay, but you know, we're there with each other and we comfort each other. It builds solidarity as a movement. It really does. The SAVE movement is something that the industry are very wary of. Okay, because we're bringing the photos of these animals' faces out to the public, and we're saying, hey, these aren't just pieces of meat. These are individuals with different personalities, and they didn't want to die. Okay, you're putting a face to the body of the animal that are on people's plates. And there's nothing more powerful than that, other than showing what happens inside of there, than showing, this is a bit more of a G-rated kind of way. Okay, you can show them, hey, these animals are here. And it's really not that hard for the people who are bearing witness. You just walk up, you got your phone, take some footage, show your family, share it on your Facebook. Powerful, powerful. I mean, you don't have to get involved in any tussles or anything like that. You leave that up to Joey, leave that up to me. But it's a really powerful, effective way of showing that you're there for the animals, giving you perspective, and sharing their individual stories. Really good. So get involved with your local SAVE movement. If there isn't one local, start one up. So if anyone's from a different county or town where there isn't one, start one up. It's not very hard. Get in touch with the SAVE movement. Anita will help facilitate everything. They'll fund your signs, they'll give you all the guidelines, and they're very helpful. So definitely start one up. Okay, this talk is called Fearless Activism. Now, I'm very well aware that there is always some fear associated with doing activism, but I'm going to tell you how I dealt with it. And the first thing is perspective, and this is what Bearing Witness does. Perspective. If that was you in the cage, okay, would you want someone to help you? And how would it feel if I was in that situation? So when you have this perspective, it deals with that anxiety you have. So you're putting it basically, oh wow, really, is it that bad? Is it that bad? So that's one thing that I've done. Also, another thing that helps with getting over the fear of doing activism is being educated. Now, how does being educated help with fear of doing activism? Because if you know heaps about something, it gives you confidence. Okay, so you can get in a debate with someone. You're like, well, someone come up to me with, oh, plants feel pain too. Come on, I've heard that 10 times this week. Come at me. You know. So if you're really well versed on the excuses, and Earthling Ed's got 30 excuses in 30 days. Watch them through. You know, just get well versed on the things that people throw back at you, because they're the same recycled excuses, which is good for us because we can get good at them, responding to them really easily. But that helps you gain confidence and helps you dealing with the fear of being an activist. Also, you don't even have to show your face as an activist. I mean, here's a good example of remaining completely anonymous. Anyone know that page, best video you ever see? Okay, anyone know who runs it? Okay, how many people do you think they've turned vegan? They've got the most reach out of any vegan on earth. Millions and millions. They've probably reached billions with some of their videos. Crazy. And completely anonymous. Okay, so think about that. If the fear really is getting to you and you really can't develop this confidence, you don't even have to show your face. There's other forms of activism you can do where you don't even have to show your face too. I'll let you work them out yourself. But also you can work in the sidelines, organising for other activists. Hey, James, you need some help. You seem really inundated at the moment. Can I help you with this? And can I do this for you? You can help other activists that are in the forefront, and you're still putting the work in. You don't even have to. Sometimes you don't even have to leave your house. Okay, so dealing with criticism, I'll talk about that. I'll tell you a little story about this. So obviously come from gangs and using drugs and hurting people around me, making my family scared and wondering where I am and causing pain and suffering wherever I went. I was getting criticised. Okay, turned my life around, got sober, went vegan, started helping animals and trying to create peace on the world. Still getting criticised, okay? So the point is, people are going to criticise you no matter what you do, so you might as well follow your heart. Another really important point is the animals would never criticise you for trying to help them, would they? They would never say, oh, Joey, when you yelled at Jeremy Ryan for that ham sandwich, that was a little bit abrupt. Yeah, no, that was a bit over the mark there. They would never say that. They're obviously suffering and in pain, and that would help. They'd be so grateful for all of your help, no matter what it is. Even we're all learning as well. Like no one's perfect. We're all trying our best. We all just want to help. So think about that. We're not doing this for vegans, are we? No. Who are we doing it for? The animals, exactly. So that's what you've got to remember when you're getting criticised. The animals aren't criticising you. Their criticism is the only criticism that matters. They'd probably criticise you for not saying nothing. Okay, remaining silent in times of injustice. It's okay to have some nerves. I'll tell you a little story. When I first started this, about my third interview in, it was a dairy interview. Now the questions I wrote down were pretty hectic and controversial, and I probably wouldn't use them questions again. But, or maybe I would, but the point was that when I got out to do the questions, I was by myself and I was still learning to integrate, I was still learning to socialise without alcohol, so I was, going through, basically trying to work myself out. Had anxiety and I was like, oh man, there's lots of people out here, it's night time, there's a few drunk people, maybe I'll turn back. In that moment I was like, wait a second, who am I doing this for? Dang, penny dropped. And I went and did it anyway. So if I'd let fear run the conversation there, I would never have got to where I am today. Because if I turned back then, I would have kept turning back. Okay, so Which brings me to my thoughts on courage. Courage is not something you're born with, it's something that you build on and you work on. Okay? It's something that comes from gradually stepping outside of your comfort zone and speaking out against injustice, basically. So courage is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. And that's what I learned. So, everyone's got their own comfort zone, basically. So you can stay inside of that comfort zone your whole life and never achieve anything. Or you can slowly step outside of that comfort zone. Okay? And my comfort zone might be a little bit bigger, I can still step outside of that. The point is you step outside of it, and each and every time you do, it's a very liberating feeling doing that. So I still experience some nerves, okay? But I do it anyway, because I'm not doing it for me at the end of the day. So that's something to remind yourself, because a lot of times fear can hold people back. Don't let it. You're not gonna. Nothing bad's going to happen to you. You're going to feel liberated. You're going to build confidence. It's amazing, and there is no time. We need to. I need to emphasise. It's a sense of urgency here. It's urgent. We need you now, not when you develop confidence. We need you to step outside your comfort zone now and speak for animals. They are getting murdered by the trillion every year. So. Which brings me on to my next point, why I feel it's an obligation to be active, and no one can change my mind on this, and I'll never change my position on this. It's an obligation to be active. Veganism basically is just non-participation, okay? It's where you realise you've been causing immense harm with your choices, and then you've stopped, okay? It's a non-action. It's a neutral position, okay? But if anyone knows anything about neutral positions, Martin Luther King said it best. If you're neutral in times of injustice, you've chosen the side of the oppressor. Okay? You're vegan because you know something's happening. Okay? And when you know, that's where the obligation is. Give you an analogy, if you've seen someone, a drunk man beating their wife on the side of the road, someone abusing a child, kicking their dog to death on the side of the road, you witnessed that and you didn't do nothing, what would society say to you? They'd say you should have done something. And you could have done something. You could have intervened in some way. Not get yourself hurt, but you could have done something. You could have spoken up about it. Why is that any different for farmed animals? Okay, we are witnessing an injustice every single day, and the magnitude of it can be seen on every person's plate on earth nearly. Okay, right there in front of our face. We should all be speaking up as a matter of urgency. If animals would save themselves if they could. You ever see a dairy cow having their calf stolen from them? It's the only time these beautiful, gentle beings ever display anything close to violence. They're trying to defend their young. Okay? We're pushing them to this. They do try, but they're helpless beings. They are helpless beings. That's why they need us. If vegans don't speak up for this, who will? We know. Like, if someone didn't know about a certain child being abused or something like that, a certain injustice, where's their obligation? They don't know about this. But as soon as you know, there's the duty. There is your duty. You know now. There comes a time when silence is betrayal. If you keep your mouth shut when you have an opportunity to speak about this, then you've betrayed the animals, essentially. And I'm not telling people to create some big, uncomfortable, argument with their family in some bad situation where you shouldn't have spoken about it, basically. There is tactful, strategic, polite ways of bringing this up. Okay, you can leave cards around, you can use Socratic method, but basically if you know, oh, well, maybe I could talk about what's going on with animals here, and you've held back, okay, you haven't kept them in mind there. You definitely haven't kept them in mind. There's nearly always an opportunity to speak about this, and I'm sure a lot of you already know that and you already do it. But I want to release some of the burden with being an activist, because when I first became an activist, I thought it was my job, my obligation to turn every single person I spoke to vegan in that first conversation. Okay? And it was a burden I carried around for a long time. But it is not your job to turn everyone vegan. Okay? That's not your responsibility. That's on them. Okay? You just got to be that shining light. Now, you can give someone the most golden information on veganism they'll ever hear, and they don't turn vegan. Okay? They're just not ready for it. But I'll tell you a little something about the 100-point system, and my friend Omri Paz, who heads an organisation called Vegan Friendly in Israel. Israel is it is the most vegan country on earth. Okay, these activists do amazing work. And he coined the 100-point system. Okay, and it goes like this. Okay, so you could be having a conversation with someone about veganism, bang, they take 20 points from that, and they go off on their little journey. You started their journey off, essentially. They're scrolling through Facebook, they see something about male chicks being ground up in the egg industry, that's another 30 points for them, bang, they're at 50 points. They go to a restaurant and their friend orders a vegan burger, which is really delicious. He has a bite, tastes good. Wow, that's delicious. Another 25 points for him. Okay. He goes out, sees a AV group, Anonymous for the Voiceless, watches some footage, talks to an outreacher. Bang, last 25 points, he goes vegan. Okay, now, the outreacher might think, oh yeah, I turned vegan in a one conversation, I'm excellent. But that can happen, that really can happen. But more often than not, it's because they've heard this information before. So you might be that first 20 points to get them started, or you might be that last 20 points to finish them off. But if you never said anything, you know, you're never going to get any points from anyone. So the point is, we want you to all be like gardeners, planting seeds wherever you go. Some people can't take on more than 20 points at a time. Okay, but you've done your job. You've spoken for animals the best you could. So don't be too hard on yourself if this person doesn't change immediately. Some people just aren't going to. They're just not going to. So I don't want you to bang your head against the wall trying to convince your father or your family member or someone close to you. You know, it really takes it out of you. That's why doing Anonymous for the Voiceless type outreach is excellent, because you try with your family members, you're like, oh, okay, they're not really budging. I've given them all the information. I'm going to be tactful and leave some stuff around, maybe question them every now and then. But I go out to AB, bang, you speak to 10 people that night, they all take challenge 22 on. You know, you've got fulfillment. But just remember that, so that should release some of the burden from your shoulders. The 100-point system, remember that, oh man, I was 20 points for that person, so they've gone and now they're off on their journey. Also, it can get hard. And I see this a lot with people that have been vegan activists for a long time, or just people that are extra sensitive. Some people are more empaths, and they lose hope. They can lose hope. And the way I deal with this is I focus on, instead of focusing on the magnitude of the injustice and what's happening to animals all the time, I focus on the exponential growth of the movement. Okay? The movement, even in the last 2 years, has grown exponentially. I mean, if anyone denies that, they're just not looking at the evidence. Okay? It is absolutely flourishing everywhere. And what happens with the snowball effect is it starts off painfully slow, and then bang, it picks up, and then it reaches a tipping point and it starts exploding, and that's what's happening right now. And how long to a vegan world, Joey? Well, it will happen a lot faster if we all get up and do something, won't it? So that is on us. The answer to that question is on us. 987% increase in meat-free alternatives in the UK alone last year. 1000% nearly. Did that happen because we sat there and didn't say nothing? No, that's happened because we're all standing up and we're all speaking out on Facebook and wherever we can. So, I'll give you a little example. Who came to the march last year? Yeah. Earthing Heads March in London? Well, yeah. Well, I want to see everyone out there this year, okay? We need you all out there marching with us. So about 5,000 people attended that march. It was amazing, screaming for animal liberation in the streets. It wasn't a march for dolphins, it wasn't a march for Yulin, it was a march for all animals. Okay, all animals, a vegan march. Vegan march. Thousands of us, an amazing feeling, it really was. Now there's 500 and something thousand vegans in the UK. We got 1% of those vegans out to march. Imagine if we got the whole lot.
Yeah.
Amazing. So we've got the vegans here now. We just need to get them active. That's what part of why I do these workshops, to get people into it. But let's just say 1% of the population is vegan, 1% of that 1% are active, still kicking goals. Still kicking massive goals. Okay, that just goes to show that a tiny pinprick of light can brighten a room full of darkness. Okay? Now, we're all in this in solidarity. We're all in this together. We're all going through the same struggles, and we all need to be there for each other. I'll give you a perfect example of this. When I was in Bali, I felt drawn to bear witness, and I thought maybe we could do a vigil. But I thought, you know, maybe I could actually go inside the slaughterhouse and bear witness inside the slaughterhouse and be there with the animals while what's happening is happening to them. So I did. I worked out a way how to get into the slaughterhouse. It was horrific. 4 animals were decapitated in front of my face. Obviously in that moment it wasn't about me, but it was a very traumatic experience to go through because I couldn't run and help them. Okay, I had the camera there and I was hiding behind the camera to tell their story basically. And I couldn't, they were making jokes, I had to stay in sort of my character while I was dealing with this traumatic event. I've got the footage, I didn't upload the horrific stuff, I edited 97% of what happened to the animals out and made a powerful video. I've still got that footage. But the point of this is, in the comments section, some vegans seen something that I didn't see. And they're like, Joey, you know, post-traumatic stress disorder can happen a little bit later. You might not know how much this has affected you till later on. Maybe you should have a little break and take